got another guest on our show, and Jonathan Thomas is the name. For those who don't know who he is one of our fastest drivers in South Africa and actually going into getting some serious international fame. Multiple champion, South African champion. Go-Karts is his main thing. Guys like myself don't do well in go-karts because I happen to be twice the weight of Jonathan. And he's an esteemed young up-and-coming guy that has really made some serious tracks into the international arena. And we would like to have a little chat to him. He's also going to be doing exposed to the hot lap little journey soon. And so let's welcome Jonathan to the show, and let's talk about some racing. And welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you for having me.
And so maybe you can just start off by telling us where your whole racing career started and how did you get into this?
Oh, geez. Long time ago, when I was young, I've always been into cars. Since I can remember. It's nothing to do with like family that were into cars or anything. It's just something I've always loved. So when I was young, about 6, 7, 8, my father got us dirt bikes, scramblers. Yeah.
What a lucky kid. I mean, your dad would support you. I mean, I got a bicycle when I finished matric. Yeah.
That's right.
It worked out all right for you.
Yeah.
Though.
17 years old, damn it. Yeah.
So no, that was good. We started on bikes. Obviously, I love 4 wheels, but not being exposed to it, I didn't know you could start at a young age in go-karts or anything. So I did dirt bikes, went up to bigger bikes, and just like, you got your Zone 7 and all the local dirt bike tracks. And then a friend of mine in school actually did go-karting, but professionally. And then the one day he said, "Oh, why don't you come and try it?" And I always thought, I'm not going to go do that. I'm thinking like, those indoor go-karts. So I thought, no, it's not really. He said, no, just trust me. Just come. So I went there. I managed to do a test in one of those go-karts. It was a Senior Max, which is automatic professional kart. And ever since that first test, I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked. I must have been 16. So I started quite late.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I started quite late. And then I remember telling my dad that time, look, we're selling, because I had 3 bikes at the time. I said, we're selling all the bikes. We're going to get a go-kart and we're going to do this properly. And he was into it. And then basically from then is when we started racing and taking it seriously.
So at age 16, you sold all the bikes. And what was the first then race car?
It was a Senior Max go-kart. So Rotax Senior Max, which I started in. They had like a Clubman series. So it was more like a fun series for them. But I remember going out. I only been doing it for about 4 months. It was my first race. And we did it in Clubman's and we came second. So my dad was quite chuffed. Because it normally takes quite a while to get the hang of these small go-karts because you got no ABS, really? No traction, no nothing. It's real agricultural. And then after that, we went into the highest series in go-karting, and it just kept going up and up and up.
So if I look at my little notes here, so then you went on to win the Senior Max Championship for Western Province.
Yes, correct.
And at what age was that?
Sure. You're hearing me? I have to think now. I think that was...
it says senior, I mean,
Yeah, they call it senior. It's when you're like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
They were senior.
Damn.
That must have been, if I started in 2011, that was probably, I think that was 2013, if I remember.
So you had a serious natural ability for racing, and I mean, to come, okay, you started at 8 years old, 7, 8 years old, and on the motorbikes and stuff. So, look, I know myself, I did a lot of motocross too, so you get a natural feeling for handling a bike. And for handling anything, really. I mean, that's on 2 wheels. And then, of course, the go-karting. I mean, all the top racing drivers today seem to have started with go-karts.
Yes, exactly.
What is the thing there? What is the advantage of starting on a go-kart?
Well, I think it just gets you in the car or in the racing sooner, firstly,
Yeah.
and then it teaches you a lot of the groundwork. So a lot of the car control comes from karting, because you got no help. So it really teaches you the car control. You've got to deal with very close racing, because in karting, a tenth of a second is massive. So, for example, when you're in the national series or international series, a tenth is like, in qualifying, will put you like 6-7 places back.
Wow.
So so it's probably the discipline,
Yeah.
learning to work with a team, getting the feel for racing itself, and then just getting the fundamentals about learning about oversteer, understeer, and having to set up a racing machine.
Yeah.
So it's just it's like early access.
Yeah.
So from the beginning on, you need to maintain, manage, and tweak your own karts to get the most out of it. So obviously you learn quite a bit from a technical point of view right from the beginning, which I think is invaluable.
Correct. So sometimes you might not mechanically understand, but you would give feedback to, most of the time it's like your mechanic, or sometimes it was your father. You'd give feedback about oversteer, and like, but where in oversteer, is it a slow corner, fast corner, medium speed corner? Is it in the beginning of the corner, the end of the corner, mid corner? So you start learning all of those little tricks from a young age. So it's definitely, then you start to really unpick racing, and how to drive on a track. So there's definitely, it's just like like early access, basically.
Oh, that stuff fascinates me as someone who could never afford motorsports and didn't have any kind of toys like that growing up. You know, my vice was skateboarding, and for us to race down hills, it was the closest thing or the cheapest way that we could, race, so to speak. So, being a part of this podcast with Peter and getting a bit more into the motorsport world as I've gotten older has been really awesome. So I really want to pick your brain on a couple of things, because I've got a kid now, and I definitely want to steer him in that direction, the lucky bugger.
Well, how old is your kid at the
He
moment?
turned 2 yesterday.
Okay, so basically
happy
you can
birthday,
start.
mate.
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
basically you can start at 4 years old. You can get them in. It's called cadets. It's a 50cc go-kart. If you really want to get them going early.
Yeah, I would do it about 4 years old.
Yeah.
That's where Byron Mitchell started at age 4.
Yeah, four is very young though. Even if they don't race, I mean, just driving around for them at the track will teach them already how to control something, to control a vehicle. So normally the kid starts coming in at about 8, but if you can do it at 4, then I mean, you just got 4 years advantage.
No, for sure. And I mean, that stuff builds on each other. So, and I mean, when you're so young, you also learn so quickly. I mean, I was so excited for having a son that I already built a full-size racing simulator rig for him. And then I put him in the seat. I'm like, I'm going to have to wait a couple of years.
Yeah. Well, at least you can upgrade the computer every year, so that by the time he's ready to roll it, you got the latest equipment.
No, exactly.
But now listen, let's talk about budget. I mean, what's the budget to do skateboarding?
So, I mean, the thing with skateboarding is, if you're talking about skateboarding like most people know it, which is traditional street skateboarding, probably nowadays a deck will set you back 1,000 Rand, a full setup, probably around 2,000 Rand. If you're getting a proper downhill skateboard, because these things are completely differently designed from a normal skateboard. So in the front, the axles or the trucks, they're actually pointing forwards instead of 90 degrees straight down like a normal street skateboard. So we're rocking 45 degrees at the front and sometimes as low as 15 degrees at the back. So, I mean, that thing's standing like that, and that's to give you the stability when you're doing these high speeds. So, I mean, you give me my setup, I'll go down, most of the roads in Cape Town, hitting 60 to 90 k's an hour. And if you were to give me a street skateboard, I would fall off at about 20 k's an hour. So that's where,
Technology, man.
the whole thing about
Technology.
setting it up and tweaking your setup, speaks to me, because that's what I learned to do with skateboarding. I used to be the guy that did all the setups for everyone on skateboards. But yeah, I mean, it was always just a dream to get into racing.
So let's talk about the budget of go-karting. So, to the listeners out there who want to get the kids into go-karting or want to get into go-karting, I mean, it's where all racing starts, the sounds of it. And if I look at all the top racing drivers today, they all seem to have started in go-karts, even the Formula One drivers. So to get into the level where you were, so let's say, where you were, in the DD2 championship,
Yeah.
direct drive.
So DD2
Go-karting.
is a gearbox go-kart, 1 to
Okay.
5, 2-stroke gearbox. So it's
1
got
to
a
5, okay.
So you got to up pedal, up a gear, down a gear. It's only 2 gears. That's why it's called DD2. So it's
2
direct
gears.
drive 2. They unfortunately are not cheap. Nowadays, because I did that in the last time I drove a DD2 was 2019. So that's now almost 5 years ago?
6 years.
Almost 6
6
years.
years this year.
Yeah, so, so nowadays.
2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, we 2025 already.
Yeah.
And did you not set up a lap record in that?
In 2019, I did a Kyalami karting track lap record.
Does that record still stand?
No, the technology just goes.
Overtook, yeah.
They're a bit quicker now. It's not in karting. It's a lot. I think it's about 4/10 quicker. Now in the space,
really?
but 4/10 in
Wow.
karting is a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. But budget-wise, geez, nowadays I've heard a full DD2 kart, you're probably looking realistically with the engine, gearbox, chassis, probably close to about 260,000 rand.
Okay, wow.
For a brand new one out the box, 240, 250, 260.
Yeah,
Okay, so you
yeah.
need to have some money to be able to do it.
And it depends how serious you want to take it. Because some guys we used to race against used to have a new kart almost every race.
wow.
They would have like 20 engines, 20 gearboxes, 30 carburetors, 5, 6 chassis. No, the guys were crazy. They used to spend millions on this.
Well, you can imagine your dad's out there and you want your son to win.
Yes, exactly.
And they'll do anything to get you on that front line, yeah.
And because of
Exactly.
a tenth making such a difference, a chassis that's 3 months old compared to a brand new one, is a little bit of a difference. Or engine that's a tenth quicker around the lap. I mean, that's over a race period over 20 laps. It makes a lot of time. So yeah, a lot of people used to obviously spend a lot of money. I was never in the millions category, thank goodness, in karting.
Yeah.
We did spend a couple of hundreds of thousands of rands though, but at least not in the millions.
Yeah.
But yeah, surely the more budget you have, I wouldn't say it makes it easier because you still got to be a good driver, but you get more testing, more practice, more new equipment all the time. So new tires every time you go. So it just makes the learning process quicker.
Yeah.
The more budget you have, basically.
So you say even a 3-month-old chassis, you can feel a difference. Realistically, if you want to approach this as, let's say, as affordably as possible, what would be the bare minimum or the longest you could run a
Oh,
kart?
you can run as long as you don't damage the kart, you can run a kart. Jeez, but then you get the other. Quickly going to the other side of the coin, I've heard some stories of good guys like a racing called Cristiano Magado, who's a 4-time karting world champion, would purposely choose a chassis that's 4 or 5 years old, but keep it aside for 4 or 5 years and then race it because it's softer, so it flexes better. So, which will help it jack around the corner. So it all depends on your driving style. But some of the guys like that you prefer the older chassis. But in general, obviously the newer technology made it better. But you get that guys who would figure out the old stuff was better. But yeah, so it's I don't know. It's more driving style to everything. You'll feel a chassis difference basically after 3-4 months. But you can run a chassis for 3 years, as long as you don't crash into anything.
Just trying to see if this is going to bankrupt me.
No. No,
Yeah.
but the kids, the kids is a lot cheaper.
Okay.
So I mean, if you're having a cadet, you're looking at, I think the cadets, if I saw like a new one, it's like 30,000, which is still not cheap.
Okay.
It's still a lot of money, but it's a lot better than 260,000.
Yeah, no, I was rethinking my choices or my aspirations here.
So it's, for anybody who wanted to get into racing down the line, or parents that wanted to get their kids into racing down the line, karting is the way to start. It's the budget's low. Your kids are young. You're at the beginning of your working career. It's perfect time to get them involved. When they're older, hopefully they're making their own money. and then they can do it themselves. But now you also drove in the World Championship.
Yes.
2019.
2019, I managed to qualify because you have to qualify for the Rotax series.
Yeah.
So I had the privilege of going to Napoli in Italy to represent South Africa in the World Finals.
So representing South Africa, does that mean you were Springbok? Was
I
it
don't
a
know.
national sport?
I'm meant to have colours, but I never applied for it.
The modest
Yeah, I
Jonathan
don't-
Thomas.
No, I
So
just-
modest, but yeah, I would have pushed for it. So they actually still owe you damn colours for that. I mean, representing South Africa in any sport, you get Springbok colours.
I don't know. I never just looked at it. I never applied for it. It's
Yeah.
just, and I took it as just another race because you didn't want to psych yourself out because you're racing against all the best drivers of each country. So I just took it as another race and basically a learning curve because it was my first international race. So I thought, let me go there, open mind, just learn as much as I could.
Yeah.
And it was an awesome experience, absolutely awesome experience.
How did you do there?
I had good pace. 1 or 2 or 3 practices, I was top 5 out of, normally in the World Finals, there's about 100 guys around there.
And you were in the top 5.
Yeah, in practice, we had some good pace. In the race, the semi-finals, unfortunately, it gets a bit rough out there because
Yeah.
each race you got to like qualify to get to the next round, and there's like cut-off points. So guys get a bit kamikaze sometimes.
Uh-huh.
And then I
They
just got
screwed up.
plowed into, and that took me out of the semi-finals. So you automatically don't qualify for the finals. But like looking back at it, I still learned so much. Like going to a karting world finals, I learned basically 2 or 3 years of experience in one race. So if you can get to a world finals, it's just the learning is worth it.
Yeah.
Not trying to go there thinking you're gonna win, or you just got to go there open mind and just enjoy it and just learn as much as you can. And then hey, if you do well, it's a good bonus
Yeah.
on top.
Yeah. No, that's very good for those out there that want to get into this. I mean, that's a very quick learning curve. I mean, and at that stage, what's your age at 2019?
Let me work it out.
I mean,
Yeah, quick maths.
you're already so young. And
Not that young anymore.
what? I don't think you've reached 30 yet,
I'm
right?
30.
What?
Yeah.
When did you turn 30? I missed that party.
Yeah, I turned
it.
30 in October last year, so
Oh, wow. Okay.
Getting older
so 2025, okay, 30, and we're talking 2019. So that's
24 years
6
old.
years. 24 years old. You win a world championship in the go-kart racing, and that seemed to be the event that catapulted you into real racing. I mean, your dad obviously then had the confidence in you to keep on pushing. Obviously, a very proud father, I
Yeah.
reckon. I mean, your dad, I mean, I've met him. He's
Yeah.
just a wonderful guy. And he just, he was talking to me the other day and he said, would you rather spend money on your son's racing than spend it on a house? And he said, I'd rather finance the house and spend my money on my son's racing.
yeah, shame. No, bless him. He's really good. He's really, especially what you're racing now. He's really gone out the way because obviously the budget just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and we do get a bit subsidies now from like a team or another driver, but yeah, it's enormous. So for him to obviously sponsor a lot of it, I'm just really, really grateful for it.
Yeah, and if I may ask, I mean, he's in his business is hairdressing, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So cutting hair to keep his son on the cutting edge of racing. And I'm wondering how many heads they've got to cut per race. But I mean, he's got a huge network of hairdressers. What's the name of the company?
As Partners Hair Design.
Partners Hair Design.
So they in basically all malls around Cape Town. There's 22 shops at the moment.
Okay.
He's got 220 staff. He's got an academy. He's got an online store. So yeah, no, he's doing that and he enjoys it a lot.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's what he's doing for you, and I mean so you've literally had almost a skyrocket exponential growth in your racing career because you went from world championship in 2019 and 2020, the very following year, you got into some real racing, some real cars. So what happened then? 2020, what did you race in
Well,
2020?
2020 was actually that funny year of COVID as well.
Yeah.
So that unfortunate few years. Basically, it came about where it was Yuri Swart and it was Troy Dolinchik and someone else said, hey, let's just enter the Kyalami 9-hour. And I was like, okay, I've never raced on the main circuit, but let's do it. It can't be that different. It can't be that different. So we did it in
So
a...
that's an endurance race
It's
for
an
those
endurance
out there
race.
that don't know what it is. That's an endurance race, which is really the pinnacle of racing. I mean, endurance racing is like 5-day cricket. It's the ultimate cricket match. Endurance racing is the ultimate motor racing event. We were just talking about it on our previous show about, what's the biggest racing event in the world?
Le Mans.
24-hour Le
Yeah.
Mans, an endurance race, 24 hours. And we were speculating how many spectators they have there. And I remember a figure of 250,
Yes,
300,000.
It was, I think it's 300,000.
Yeah.
That's wild
300,000.
for any sporting event to
300,000.
draw that kind of an audience.
That's live.
As a live people,
Then
yeah,
exactly.
watching
Yeah.
on television, it must run into the hundreds and hundreds of millions that watch that. I watch it all night. I sit in bed and I let it run and I watch it. And I remember during COVID, they ran the whole thing on simulators.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
A crazy time.
And I watched that thing too, the whole thing on simulators. A sim race, the guys driving the same cars, same commentators, and it was just as exciting. It was actually incredible. I remember watching the whole thing on the sim racing too, and it was just so absorbing. And so endurance racing is the ultimate racing to do. So you jumped straight from go-karts, and you decided, okay, let's try a 9-hour endurance race at
Yeah,
Kyalami.
basically. Yeah, so it
In
was
a Cobra.
in a Cobra, in a backdraft Cobra.
Backdraft kit car, basically almost a home-built car.
Yes.
And
Oh, it was good fun.
now, if I remember correctly, yes, I don't even have to remember. I was in the same race. I was supposed to do the same race, also in a Cobra, and I got tendonitis in my Achilles from spending hours and hours on a simulator trying to prepare for this race. And so I ended up as an assistant team manager. And my main job, I had a good look at, so from an engineering point of view, I've got a strong engineering background. I had a look at these cars. And I looked at this and I said, there's no ways these cars will last for 9 hours. And I gave a lot of thought. I was in and out and around, under the car, over the car, and I said, this never can this thing last. So my job in the team, which was strategy, and to try and force the guys to drive slower and to make the car last. And I know a bunch of you guys was
don't think like that.
Flat out.
We don't think like that.
Flat out.
We're young and
There's young, dumb,
yeah,
and
exactly.
I don't want to
Yeah.
finish the sentence. And it's flat out red mist. And I mean, especially the guys you had in your team. You have Troy Dolinchik.
Oh, we had Josh Dolinchik. He's
Josh-
older brother.
Okay. And
Yuri Swart.
Yuri Swart.
And then the last guy slips my
I
name.
mean, these guys today are still top racers as well. I mean, Troy now,
Yeah,
the
Troy.
younger brother, is just...
He's very, very good.
He's really... And I think he got his national colours recently, last year.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think there was a presentation in Johannesburg, and he got his Pro Tier colours. You know, I still like the old Springbok colours, you know, that's still old school stuff here. But, so, that race, so how did you guys do? You hired a
We hired
Cobra.
a backdraft Cobra, nice and cheap, to get into
Yeah,
it.
it's cheap and nasty. I mean,
It's not that bad.
let's talk about the price, because if I remember correctly, it was 20 grand a driver.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
20, 25.
And I don't know how many drivers you had. We had
we
like
had
a full
four.
house.
We had 4 drivers.
We had five
Oh no, geez.
drivers. Darby Hubert and Mike Verrier and all these guys. And anyway, yeah, so how did the race
Yeah,
go?
no. The first part was good. Because the car was lasting.
The car lasting. Yeah.
So I remember I actually started the race, and It was good fun.
Jumped into the lead.
Yeah, it was good. We put it going all out, fighting for the top spot.
What times were you running in that?
Jeez, if I remember 21, 22s, 23s around there.
Okay.
We went all out. But then, going down the back straights with those Cobras and on the straights, you're having to pump the brakes. I thought you would have no brakes.
Very industrial.
Yeah, very industrial. There's no ABS, no traction control. It's more like a street car that they put on the
Or
track.
more like a go-kart.
No, way different.
Except you had
A
brakes.
go-kart's got a lot more grip.
Can you
and
imagine
brakes
that on those Mari biscuit tires that those Cobras have got? That big fat
And they got road
V8
tires,
engine.
basically.
Eh?
It's almost road tires.
Yeah.
Not even like race tires.
Yeah. Sort of Mari biscuit road tires. with
But
a
see,
V8 drive.
you got to have
What's
car
it?
control.
350 horsepower, I think.
Somewhere there.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's car control is the key. Rudimentary industrial. No aids to drive with.
Good
and
old-fashioned H-pattern gearbox.
Yeah.
You
Slam
got to
it
learn
away.
to heel and toe and do all the fun stuff. But you're having to pump with your left foot down the straight to make sure you've got some brake pedal when you get to the end of the straight. Otherwise, there's nothing at all. But no, it was way different from karting, because in karting we're fighting for tenths. Here we were fighting just stay on the track. But no, it was good. We had to look out for, at that stage, being in the slower cars, we had to look out for the faster cars. So you're still fighting your own race,
Yeah.
but then you're getting, like, at that stage of the GT3s and some of the prototype cars would come flying past you.
Yeah.
Because the Cobras were basically the slowest cars on the track. So you learned a lot about traffic, about being overtaken by faster cars, but also not being overtaken by the guys in your own class when you're letting the faster guys through. So you learned a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So it was great from that side, and it was still enjoyable. The car broke. Can't remember what happened.
So it didn't make
It
it.
didn't make it. No, of
Didn't
course
make
not. I think after
Did it make it halfway at least?
round about halfway. I drove, Yuri drove, and then Josh, halfway through his stint, something started going a bit funny. And then, after that, it didn't really go very well.
Yeah.
Things started breaking.
So that's, endurance racing, as you now know, because you've gone on to do some serious endurance racing. I mean, you got out of that, and then, 2022, you got into pull beam, which is an incredibly fast car. A little bit of aero in that thing, I don't think much.
Not much aero, but it was a older vehicle, so it was early 2000s, but it was a purpose-built racing car.
Yeah.
So it was way different from the Cobras. That was actually more like the karts, or like the go-karts that we were used to, similar feel. But you had obviously pedal shifters and the whole thing. Just no ABS or traction control.
Yeah.
But it was still a purpose-built race car. It was basically an MP3 car of its time.
Yeah.
It was very good. I raced with Steve Humble and Francis Carruthers in the Kyalami 9-hour the next year. And that was my first experience of a more of a real race car.
Yeah.
I drove a bit of Formula Ford actually as well.
Okay.
Just tested some of them, which were also really, really fun.
Yeah.
But the pole beam was the first actual race car, and the car was still capable. We were doing 110s
Wow.
with
That's
the
fast.
2002
Listen,
car.
in any language, a 1 minute 10, especially in those days, because now they're starting to break the 110 quite easily. But 110 in those days was fast. I remember that pull beam. Look,
Yeah.
I also drove in that 9-hour, and we beat them. Not on anything else other than reliability.
Yeah, we had some more
Yeah,
unreliability.
Again, a lot of unreliability. And again, if you take the Cobras, you take those cars, endurance racing is about serious maintenance, reliability, and strategy.
So when we chat just now about what we do now, we'll get into how much preparation goes on behind the scenes.
Because I want to get to that then. So in 2022, you drove the line hour and the pull beam. And then 2023,
Yeah, that's when it really stepped up big time.
the start of your international career. And let's talk about that. Let us know, how did you get into that?
So-
What?
Basically, when I was doing the Kyalami 9-hour in 2022,
Yeah.
a good fellow called Nick Adcock came to Steve Humble and he said basically, "Hey, who's this kid who's driving with you? I haven't heard of him." And I think I overtook him in the race, and that's afterwards is when he came to say, "Hey, you know,
So who's this guy?
Yeah, who's this guy?
damn guy?
I haven't heard him
What
before."
did you overtake him in?
I think he was in his Ligier,
Yeah.
and we were in the pole beam.
Okay.
So he had more cornering speed, but we had a bit more grunt on the straight.
Yeah.
But it equaled up where I could still overtake him and pull away. So no, it was good. So I met Nick, and Nick basically, long story short, just said, "Hey, do you want to come race in Europe?" So I was a bit taken back, but I thought, you know, I chatted to my father, and we decided, after a lot of thinking and all of that, Nick said, "Okay, come race in Europe," and we said, "You know, okay, let's do it. Let's see what happens." So that was a very big eye opener because we went to Ultimate Cup, which is it's like a international series where they have GT cars, prototypes, the latest prototypes, your LMP3s, your MPO2s, all of that. And we went to Paul Ricard in France.
Yeah.
So I had no practice beforehand, nothing.
Yes.
And I thought, no, you know, you go there with a bit of confidence, and you thought, okay, I drove the pole beam. The new stuff can't be that different. But oh my word, it's a huge difference. The aero behind it, the speed.
So what car was that?
That was an MPO2.
MPO2.
So
What
it's a
is
Nova
that?
prototype, and then number 2. It's basically a prototype race car that's kind of like an LMP3 car.
Very aero.
All aero.
All aero.
It's all aero. It relies on aero. Aero is everything. It's
Yeah.
about 2 tons of downforce. 1.9 to
Jesus.
2 tons of downforce. So you learn about aero very quickly and how this magic of air works.
Yeah.
The cars are V8. They actually run a Coyote V8 out of a Ford Coyote V8, a crate motor. Nothing too fancy in the engine
Stock.
department. Stock.
Not modified.
No, they wanted
anything.
it. They wanted to keep it stock because that's all it needed.
Yeah.
450 horsepower is all it needed. The car weighed about 880 kilos. When it's
That's good. That's
and
very
then
light.
pure carbon, no like aluminium or anything on it besides
Yeah.
the engine.
Yeah.
And going to Paul Ricard that first time, being in an international track, and the amount of trucks in the paddock, it's insane. Going like now we used to it because it becomes normal, but when you first go there, you completely mind blown because you go from like our racing, which is still good racing here in South Africa, but when you get to Europe and the level it's on, it's a completely different ballgame. And there's just trucks and trucks and trucks and trucks.
So it's also big budget.
Big budget.
Big budget.
There's teams that run, it's enormous budget. Like stupid budget. And so I got there, I raced for CD Sport, which is the French team. I still remember looking at the car for the first time, and that's the first car where you look and you go like, okay, it looks a bit intimidating.
Yeah.
This is at that time a 2023 brand new top of the range race car. So
was Nick in the same team
yes,
then?
so I was racing with Nick Adcock and Michael Jensen, in CD Sport.
Yeah.
We had a sister car as well, so they ran 2 cars.
So 3 drivers?
3 drivers
Yeah.
per car because those races
Okay.
are 4-hour races.
Yeah.
And again, now these races, we were speaking about how endurance and how you got to make the car last. In Europe with these latest equipment, it's a 4-hour sprint race.
Gee.
There's the team never ever would tell you to slow down. If anything, it's constant speed up, speed up, speed up. You do not slow down.
You imagine.
I know it's completely different. So
Sprint race pace.
it's a
for 4
sprint
hours.
race, qualifying for 4 hours. So
Unbelievable.
obviously they still have issues, but
Yeah.
the team that wins is actually the team that can be the fastest and keep the car going. So it was very interesting. But the first practice I did seat fitment the day before, got in all excited. I had a new helmet, new suit, because everything's got to be the latest FIA graded.
Yeah.
So your helmet's almost got to be F1
The
standard.
team, you pay the team.
So I immediately got...
How does it work?
Well, Nick basically got me there, and he managed to talk me in, and I still had to pay big budget, but I managed to not pay full budget,
Yeah.
which helped a lot.
How did you manage to not pay full budget?
Nick negotiated with the team for me, and
Okay.
basically said, this kid has got potential, and let's see what he can do.
Yeah.
So we went there. We flew all the way to Marseille in France. Got there, again, mind blown by the track, the facilities.
Did you know the track before?
I did like 3 sim sessions on Nixum, and that was it.
Okay.
Basically, go.
You know,
But you watched
iRacing
F1. We watched F1, so I kind of know where the track went.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, I basically came in there pretty raw.
Yeah.
Like this was like a whole new experience. Met all the team. The team's a French team. Everyone speaks French, not France, French. And so you're learning language barrier. You're learning all the engineers. There's computers everywhere. So it almost looks like an F1 style pit where you've just got computer screens everywhere, engineers everywhere. Everything's organized. Like everything is spotless and organized. There's no like, oh, I got a spanner laying there, or nothing like that. Very, very professional. So you're already like out of your depth when you get there. You feel very important, and it gives you confidence, but then you also feel a bit of intimidation because you're like, this is now the real deal.
Yeah.
So anyway, we go to the first session. I thought, okay, Nick goes out. I still remember, gets out in the car. He does the first part of the session, and now it's my turn.
You're now already in a race or practice?
No, practice.
Okay, yeah.
I get in the car. I do 1 lap, and I thought, no, this is way too hectic. It's brutal. It's your mind can't keep up with how quick these cars go, and the corner speed, the change in direction was the real thing. How a go-kart, a DD2, is very nervous on the steering wheel. Like any little input makes a huge difference. But getting into a car like this, and it's even more hectic. I mean, we have massive slick tires, and the speeds we're reaching on these tracks, and it was just completely mind-blowing. So I still remember I did 4, 5, 6 laps. I came in, and it was so strange. I felt car sick. I was like fatigued. It's so hot. Your mind, you struggle to, I'll be open, like struggle to like understand what, like to process it. It was just a mind.
Yeah.
Your mind is all over the place. And I still remember my girlfriend being with me saying, look, yeah, you can do this. I came in and I thought, I can't do this anymore. It's too wild. It's too brutal. And I said, I can't do it. And she said, you can do it. Your body got a shock. So, and I remember Nick coming to me and says, how was the first session? And I thought, I'm not going to be like, a lot of the guys are like arrogant. Yeah, I know it is good and all of that. I was open, honest. I said, look, yeah, this is hectic. My pace was actually not bad. Like, my pace was actually decent on the first practice, but you just couldn't hold on.
Yeah.
Your mind was the biggest thing. And then I remember my girlfriend telling me, look, you can do it. And, you're telling yourself you can't. And then you thought, okay, after you stop feeling a bit car sick, you eat something, come right, and you thought, okay, let's give it another chance. Another whirl. Go again, still a bit all over the place, like your mind's struggling, but it was a little bit better. And then, but the pace was there, it was coming down. Because of my ranking being a silver driver as well, because of what I've done before, you get the FIA rank you. You get bronze, silver, gold, platinum.
And what is that based on? Which races? What history?
As soon as you
On your
do
go-kart
karting and
racing?
do a world finals in go-karting, you immediately jump to silver.
Okay.
So
What's the best?
Platinum.
Platinum. So it's platinum,
Gold, silver,
sil-
bronze.
Okay. Wow.
So
okay.
also your age plays a big role in not starting at bronze. Because the bronze is meant to be for a gentleman driver.
Okay, I was
Not
going to
much
ask you that.
experience,
Is it based on your track time?
Age is the first
Let me
factor.
rephrase the question. Do you race then in the silver class?
No. So but how it works is a team will consist of either in this championship, it will consist of silver lineup, or bronze silver lineup, or gold bronze lineup. You could choose. Just if you had like a silver lineup, you would have to take a longer pit stop time because you had an advantage over silver bronze. Because generally, the higher you go in the ranking, the quicker the driver is, and the more experienced they are.
Yeah.
So if you run
they give you a bit of a handicap.
yeah, they will, because obviously like a team running a silver bronze will have a handicap of the bronze driver compared to someone who's silver.
Yeah.
Because even at silver, you count it as a pro driver.
Yeah.
Anything above bronze is you pro. So you're basically having two pro drivers racing against a pro and an amateur. So they will nail you in your pit stop time. You have to add an extra minute per stop or yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
But yeah, so going back to that, the first race, it was good. After the first day, next day came. We don't get much practice overseas. It's not like in South Africa we have like 10 sessions. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there it's 3 sessions and then qualifying. So your first day is 2 practice sessions, which are about an hour each. Then you got another practice and then you got qualifying. So next day came, I went completely open-minded and I thought, you know what, let's just get comfortable with this thing and let's start chipping away because this is what I want to do. So after that, got the hang of it, time starts coming down, race starts, we start the race, we actually end up winning that race. First time.
Wow.
So, yeah, so that was...
how was that feeling from, dealing with all that nervousness and, you've got this opportunity now and I'm assuming there was quite a lot of thoughts and stress going through your mind about, like, you need to make this work versus the elation and that flip-flop to actually winning the thing.
It was amazing. Yeah, because exactly, you're trying to prove yourself to a team to see like why am I there? Why do I get to be there? You trying to prove it to yourself to know that you're ready for such a thing. You're trying to just prove it to everybody, but you should go there rather just I'm going to go learn again. But then after winning, it's like that huge weight off your shoulders because then you can do it. There's nothing wrong with you. You just had to learn. But I had to learn in such a short period of time. So I think that helped a lot with confidence going to the next races forward because then I started off with not feeling car sick, not feeling all funny because now, I've just won. I can do it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went from, that was a poor record that season. Then we went to...
But hang on, I want to stay on this race here now first.
Okay.
So how was your time compared to Nick?
Well... It sounds not mean, but I'm supposed to be quicker, being a pro class driver.
What is he?
He's bronze.
Okay.
Even though he's got 25 years of racing and he's raced everything, and I mean he's an ELMS champion. He's of his age automatically leads him to bronze.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
So
in other words, the older you get, the slower you get?
I don't know, because there's still some bronze drivers out there who are very quick. Yeah. And they actually we call them shiny bronzes.
Okay.
They're bronzes as quick as pro drivers.
So I'm assuming this ranking system is more so to classify and identify guys that will become like pro drivers, athletes, in the sense that, they can make it to the big televised massive events and stuff
Correct.
like that. Yeah. And the bronze is more for people that are seriously enthusiastic and doing it, even though there can be some of the bronze drivers that are very quick.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. So the bronze is meant to be for someone who's just wants to go compete at a high level, but at the end of the day is someone who's got money to support their hobby and they want to go and just have some fun. Okay. But again, you get some bronzes who are called shiny bronzes who actually some of them could even be paid.
Is Nick a shiny bronze?
I'll say he's very close to a shiny bronze.
Do they call him a shiny bronze?
I don't know. I don't know from the other teams. I don't know.
You don't, yeah.
But his pace-wise, he's good. He's strong. But going back to that, I was about 1.3 seconds quicker. A lap, 1.4 seconds quicker.
Wow, that's impressive. Sure.
But you get ranked compared to the other silver and gold. So at that race, I was about half a second, 4 or 4 tenths off the quickest driver, silver or gold driver.
And can we talk about cost?
Yeah, for that first one.
This is like, for the listener out there, we have no idea what this costs. I know
I don't know.
Little bit of racing
can't
career,
really show
damn
pictures,
expensive it is.
But if you see the car, you'll see why they cost so much.
Yeah, I've seen them, man.
Yeah.
The beautiful, beautiful piece of engineering. Serious engineering. So when we talk about cost, there's a cost to the car, there's a cost for the race team. But you guys as paid drivers, so I'm assuming you go up there and you basically rent the car, right?
Correct. In some form, yes.
Well, explain to us.
So basically, going there you go there with a budget. So your budget could be, depending on that race, It costed, if I remember at that time, I think I could be wrong. I think it was 380,000 rand for that race
Each.
each. Well, I paid. I don't know what the others
Yeah.
paid because again, it's being categorized differently. You also pay different sometimes.
Yeah.
So normally a silver or gold won't pay the same price as a bronze.
And then obviously it matters.
And then
or-
Does the bronze pay more?
Yes, in 90% of the time, the bronze will pay the
Is
most.
that because of the risk?
It's just because the bronze comes with a lot of the bronze basically subsidizes or the silvers and the golds. So they add in some money because they would want that. They would
Yeah.
want a silver or gold to be on their team to boost their results up. So
Oh, I see. Because the handicap,
correct.
you get a bit quicker than the guy. They
Yeah.
got another minute to spare in the bank.
Yeah. So if you want a quick silver or quick gold driver, then a bronze would pay or pay in a little bit. So say if I paid 380, a bronze would maybe pay 480, for example,
Yeah.
because they would cover most of the cost.
And how much of that cost is affected by which team you drive for?
Oh, all teams have their own
Pricing structure.
pricing structure, and depending who's the bronze driver, how much are you a wanted silver or gold driver? Because then you obviously you get better deals. So the more you perform, the better deals you get. Being a platinum driver, you generally a fully works driver, so you paid to race. Being a platinum, so
Oh,
most
wow.
of the time a platinum will be like sponsored by BMW. They'll be paid by BMW, Ferrari, Lamborghini, like our van der Lindes.
Yeah.
They platinum drivers.
Okay.
So they've
they
got
get
to the
paid.
stage where they get paid. So that
Yeah.
immediately puts you in a platinum ranking. But gold also can be paid. Even a very good silver could be paid as well.
Yeah.
It's all depends on me. Even a shiny bronze could be paid because you would not have a handicap, but you have a bronze as quick as a pro driver. And then bronzes could even be paid because teams want that.
Yeah.
They want a bronze as fast as a pro and they don't get penalized for it.
Yeah.
So some of the bronzes get either huge subsidies
Yeah.
or they even get paid to drive.
That's interesting.
And now, I mean, you in this race, there's a lot of organizing to do, a lot of backup. I mean, pit staff. I'm sure your girlfriend had a lot to do with this.
Yes.
I mean, she's, from what I've seen to date, she's with you on every race. She looks like she's very busy in that pit. We get the updates, as guys that are following you, we get the updates. And I mean, she's here as far as I know, and I'd love to have a little chat and a little bit of
Yes, of
feedback
course.
from her. Can
course.
we get Zilka in?
Yeah, 100%. You guys can keep chatting for now while I set her up.
Okay. Yeah. So, so the cost, so you're talking a little bit, it sounds like a little bit over $1 million, 1.2,
For the year,
1.3.
for that year,
For a race.
no, for that race it costed me 380. Basically,
And
I
then-
paid, if you work it out, for that year it was about 2 million
For the year.
that I paid.
Yeah. But how many races did you do? in that?
6.
6 races. 6 races, 2 million. So that's, 200,000. 2 million divided by 6. 3 6 is 18, 350,000 a race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was still like a very good price. So
Yeah.
I actually got a very good.
So did you
price.
have to do the whole series?
I
Or
wanted
did
to
you
do
have
the whole series.
Yeah, okay, so you committed to do the
I
whole
committed
series.
to do the whole series. So we went to some great tracks. I mean, we won at Porricard. We then went to Spain, Navarra.
Yeah.
We had problems with the suspension there.
Yeah.
The pace was even better.
So let me just ask you about that. So when you have a problem with a car, so you've now rented this car, and it's not due to bad driving that it's got suspension problems, or
No, we
how
didn't
do
whack
they-
anything.
How do they handle it from a car point of view? If you pay for a car and the thing breaks down, it's not your fault.
It's tough.
No credit, no money back.
No. If you
Just-
crash
it's a
it
dead
though,
loss.
yeah. If you crash it, you pay for it.
And
Yes.
geez, they
You-
give you a duff car.
Well,
Well, it's going to
obviously,
last 10 laps, for
that-
example. Last
yeah.
10 laps and boof, it just fails. Done.
That's done.
Finished. No insurance against that.
No. You got some insurance of wrecks, accidents, some of the like insurance will kick in. We don't have insurance in South Africa.
I know. South Africa is zero insurance, guys. You want to race in South Africa, it's on your own bat.
Yeah.
Pay for everything yourself, every tire, every accident. And
So,
it doesn't matter if somebody rams into you. You don't pay his damage. He doesn't pay your damage. You still pay for your damage.
So in Europe, you basically get,
Oh, you're
if
still
I
there.
remember, you have to pay up to 70,000 euros.
For?
Thank you.
If you damage the car and the bill comes to
Oh, right.
60,000 euros, you have to cover that. But if it
The
exceeds,
first 70,000.
but if it exceeds, I think it's 70,000. So say if the bill comes to, because these cars are very expensive. Say if the bill comes to 150,000 euros of damage,
You only pay 70.
you pay 70. And
So
then
is that an insurance you take it, or is that part of the deal?
that's
part
an
of the deal.
insurance that the team has.
You
with,
pay the first 70,000
Yeah.
no matter what.
yeah.
But I mean, it's a double-edged sword, because if you don't make it, the car breaks down. Not your fault. You lose your 350,000 that you put
I
in.
wouldn't say you lose because you do most of the time
Well,
you do all the
yeah,
practices,
yeah,
the
the-
qualifying.
Okay,
The,
that's true. Yeah,
you're
so
in the
you've had
race.
you've had a bit of experience. Yeah.
you learn. I mean, to race there compared to here, when you race there, it's like equivalent. One race there is like equivalent of a whole year racing here in experience.
Yeah.
So your 350,000 is actually still. It sounds like a lot of money, but what you learn and the experience you get is enormous.
Yeah.
You're basically getting a whole 350,000 equivalent of a year of racing in South Africa in one race. So it's incredible how much you
Actually,
learn.
you're quite bloody right. I mean, if you think about it, what did it cost? 2 million for the
Yeah.
year. 2 million for the year, and you did a whole endurance series. That's
In
what it
Europe.
costs us, yeah.
Exactly.
Same story.
And you're racing at the best tracks around the world.
Best tracks in the world, best cars in the
Best
world.
best cars with the professional team that have done Lamar before.
I mean, that's just the
I
Yeah.
think we got to do this. Okay.
I've told you, Peter,
I
you
know,
need to
you
do.
keep telling me I'm just
You
going
just
to
do one
it.
race at least to see what it's like.
Yeah,
to tick
yeah,
it off your list.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm listing my kidneys on the market tonight. Let's do it.
I mean, if I go there, what I go is
You'll be a bronze, but you definitely got to get your FIA license.
FAA.
FIA. So you would need to.
So the local license is what?
No.
Not relevant.
Then
No,
you're done.
Zilko, we've got Zilko,
Hi there.
which is your Jonathan, your right hand and probably your left hand as well. Zilko, so a typical day at an international race event, you know, there's admin, there's paying the fees, there's getting there, there's airline tickets. I mean, there's accommodation, and I'm assuming that's your job,
Yes.
booking the flights, getting in there,
Yeah.
taking all the stress off Jonathan.
Yes.
He's got to focus on his
Only on driving, and that's it.
and arrive and drive. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the key word here, arrive and drive. You don't want all the hassles of admin and like we have here. You know, when I do a race,
Yeah.
geez, I organize maintenance. I got to go and check this. I got to pay on the bills. I got to do the license application. I mean, the amount of paperwork involved, and to have somebody like Zilka to do all that for you. Now you're in the pits. You're getting ready to race. You've done the flights. You've done the accommodation.
Yeah.
You've paid the fee. You've done all the admin, and now it's race day. And so, what is your function then in the pits?
In the pits, well, I'm sitting aside with the team. I'm listening to all of the background.
So you've
speaking
got
in
a headset
French or
on then, and
English. Yes.
you can hear everything that's going
everything. And most importantly, I can hear what Jonathan's also saying in the car.
Yeah.
And that's where I get all the feedback. I also watch all the other drivers. I take down all the results of what they're doing. I record what I can, do some comparison to say, look, you were doing this in that corner, first sector.
Go a little
This
bit
other
closer.
guy, sorry, one of the other teammates, or specifically a silver driver,
Yeah.
or platinum driver, I'll say, Jonathan, you're actually faster in that sector. You need to pick up in the third sector. That's where you're losing your time. So you may go faster in turns 15 or 16 and all of those things. So we kind of watch the difference between the drivers.
So you've got the computer screen in front
Yeah.
of you, and you're
Yeah.
monitoring
Part
all
of
the other
team,
drivers.
Everything. yeah, so I got my phone, I've got the computer screens with time, where he is on the track, where the other cars are that he's competing with at the time, because usually you can see where every other car is during the race. And stuff that you don't really see when you're watching on the YouTube or on TV. You don't see
you
that
can't see all that
no.
information.
So we see all of that. So I look at his somebody that he would compete with that is on his caliber.
Yes.
And I don't just take one of them. I take the platinum drivers and the silver drivers that he would compete with. And that's what I take with whoever's in the lead in the race or whoever's, sitting on the fence there that might win the race. So I do all the calculations as well. I look at all of those things from that aspect and to see where Jonathan is, how he's improved, where he is in the race. Because sometimes what people don't understand when they're watching is that, oh, Jonathan dropped to like 15th. Oh, my God. But he pitted. He had a time penalty. Did you know that? No. So, of course, he's being disadvantaged because at the time his teammate is Thomas Emberg, silver driver as well. And because they're two silver drivers, they get a team penalty. And that is about a 50-second penalty in the pits. A minute and 10 seconds. Additional to your normal pit stop times.
So you reading and analyzing all this information, and what about the engineers in the race team?
They're doing that. I'm right behind the engineer. So
Are they doing a lot of that, and you standing behind and you picking up all the information? Are they talking to Jonathan as well?
Yes, they are. And I don't speak, but I hear everything. I understand Jonathan, so I know when something's wrong as well, because I know his driving style, because I've been there with him since the first track day session, so main circuit. So I know when he's pushing, when he's not, when something's wrong with the car. I know the way he communicates with his driving style, which is very, very, something that he's actually taught me, only because I'm in the background and because I drive with him and all of those things. So he's taught me that. So we understand and we can communicate on a different level that anybody else can, because we understand each other.
Yeah.
We understand the language, and that's more important. So also with driving, there was this one race where something was just wrong with the car. Nobody could understand. They're like, no, it's Jonathan. He needs to get out. And we're like, no.
Needs to get out of the car.
Yeah,
We need to change him.
And I was like, no.
You said, no,
something's wrong with the car. You need to pit him and find the problem. Okay. Couldn't figure out what it was. Eventually it was tires. Tires were, then another race as well, we had the similar situation. It was very dangerous, very, very wet. I mean, if you watch that onboard, you would literally
shit yourself.
Yeah, big time. I couldn't even watch it. It was that hectic. I couldn't see, watching the onboard, where that corner was turning.
So do you have onboard footage also in the pits?
Yes.
So you're watching, jeez, it's incredible.
You can't even comprehend to see how dangerous that race was. Anyway, cut a long story short, he was driving, all of that, and the next thing, they're like, no, something's wrong. And I was like, no, nothing's wrong. There's no wipe. There's no wiper. So I would run up to the track, look at the track, get out of the pits, look at the car to actually see when it passes there or when it's in the pit stop or wherever, just to make sure that what I'm saying is correct. So I do that also with somebody else. And just to make sure that my opinion is not biased, I'll always ask somebody else, okay,
right,
what do you think? Where's that? And, always with the ladies, I find there's always other ladies. Ladies just have this intellect where they can just see things that the men don't see.
Absolutely.
And they have an eye to see a lot of things. And I tell you, the best information you get is from the females. And we all sit together, we talk, we say, okay, now with that one, and we look out for each other. So if anything happens, I'm in the pits, if anything happens with any other driver, I'm the first one to tell them, listen, that's just happened. They've come in, something's wrong, etc., because I know it's happening. And vice versa, when he's not on the track and their husbands and things are on the track, then we all just work together in that regard. But there's a lot that goes on in the background that people really, really don't know about.
So it's a very symbiotic relationship going on there. You feed each other,
Oh, he just has to drive and that's it. The minute he gets off that track, he gets his food or drinks, energy, any health thing. He gets everything. Yes.
Have you also developed a love for motorsports, or you just really love Jonathan?
No, it's both. No.
Good question.
Yeah. No, that's actually how we kind of met. Through the interest of driving, basically loving cars, or not in cars I would more say that I had a love for speed. I enjoyed taking a car and driving it to the limit, or just
Is that
crazy
a fact?
and corners,
Okay.
not the straight, the corners, and that's what we kind of just got along with talking about, etc. And and then through that, driving with Jonathan, taking me down to Val Drive, I think one of you should really go with him, probably. And then you can understand how that is. And also just randomly, he likes to do something that's crazy, or you teach me as well. So it's just, we've grown our relationship with him being or loving cars and speed.
So that's, I mean, you are a seriously integral part of Jonathan's success.
Yeah.
And his driving improving with your backup
Yeah.
and you feeling what's going on with him. It's quite incredible.
Really, really helps.
But now let me ask you a question. How's your driving? So, I mean, can you jump in that Ferrari of his and haul ass around Duval Drive
On Duval Drive, because it's
faster than most, especially women? Okay, Jonathan.
I think, yes. Well, Zoka's shame. She gets, if it's not her car, she doesn't like to push it. But if it's her car, then yes, definitely.
So
She can definitely pedal.
So is the car yours?
The Ferrari.
Yeah. Damn it.
I'll get there. I'm getting there.
Yeah, no, so going back to what Zoka
Yeah.
was saying, basically, some of the races she described were some highlights, some big races that we've done before. So basically, we won Hockenheim this year.
You won Hockenheim.
Yeah, she was talking about Thomas Imborg, who was my other teammate. We were both silver drivers. So again, a pro in the car, time penalties. So we have to take longer pit stops. We were racing at Portimao this last year, where we were leading the first, it was a 6-hour race. We were leading the first 4 hours, and then we had power steering failure. So that one could have been a win, but exactly, it could have been. If,
Could have, would have, should
yeah,
have.
exactly.
Yeah.
Then we did Paul Ricard, the front nose clip blew off. Again, we were second in that stage. Again, could have, should have, would have. Easier to say that now. But then at Hockenheim we won. The car managed to stay together. We managed to win that race. And then after that, after Hockenheim, we went to, where did we go? I can't even remember. There's so many races. I'm trying to.
Clip
The front nose clip. So basically, it's the whole front section blew off.
blew off. Now, do you sort of cuck your team out a little bit there? and
No,
say,
because
"Guys,
that was actually a manufacturing fault.
manufacturing fault."
Yeah.
But the whole team felt that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because that was a race basically thrown.
Yeah, so the manufacturer, it happened to a few cars, not just our car. So it was actually a manufacturing fault.
No credit.
That's tough,
Nothing.
nothing, tough.
Bastards.
And then, we went to Mugello after Hockenheim after winning.
Yeah.
Mugello, we were, again, leading. And then there was a bit of politics in that race.
Well,
Politics.
Political, yeah. You know, this is, we want to drill down. And I mean, these are things that happen in real racing and the public don't see it.
So basically, that race was very unique.
Yep.
It was storming. Like, I can show you videos after our podcast. There was about that much water standing on the track and in the pit lane. So my teammate started and he was lying second. That stage, we had a very good qualifying. He was lying second. So my teammate is basically he's 24.
Yeah.
He's a silver driver. He's French. We get along very well, so this helps a lot. So he was second at that stage. When it was getting time to do a driver change, they called red flag because it was just too much. It was you would aquaplane at 80 k's an hour. I mean, it was because our cars are so low, the water was higher, so it would become like boats.
Right.
So they red flagged it. We had to wait about an hour and a half, and then they decided to change the rules of the race. Where if you're running a silver, say if you're running 3 people, if you're running a silver, bronze, or a silver, bronze, there was no such thing as drive time, which they also call basically drive time is when a silver driver can't or is not allowed to drive the same amount as a bronze. A bronze has to drive the most as well. Gold drives even less. Platinum, shame they hardly
Maybe
drive.
that's why the bronze has to pay more money.
Could be.
Gets more drive time.
More drive time. So in that race, they decided there's no such thing as drive time. So, shame. A lot of the bronzes didn't even do a lap because the silvers and gold could just keep driving without any penalties. But because we entered as a silver team, we still had to serve our penalty. And other teams didn't now running silver or silver gold lineups. So no matter what stop, we would still have to serve a minute and 10 seconds more than anyone.
No.
So there was a lot of things about that because there was a lot of teams where they wanted a certain team to win and it was the way it was going to work.
So a bit of political.
Correct.
And did you put in a protest?
No, you don't protest overseas.
Oh.
It's tough, basically. You can, but there's no point.
Yeah.
There's no,
So
they're just going to look at you like, what are you doing?
So they can manipulate the race and just tough.
Tough. It doesn't happen often, but it unfortunately does happen. I still find there's more politics in South Africa than there is in Europe.
I do. Now we're talking about another political situation.
Let's finish quickly. So we did Magello. That one was a bit so-so.
Yeah.
Then after that, we went to Magnicor. That one, again, we were leading the race after 4. That was when we were saying it was storming. It was a night race, and we had no wiper. The wiper blew off, and we stole a wiper off a Porsche, and that was in the car park. Off a Cayenne. We just strapped that on. Made it work. But we were leading that race until the last lap, and we ran out of fuel on the last lap.
Oh my word. Worst nightmare.
Exactly.
Embarrassing.
Yeah. So, and that was a big race, racing at Magnicor with a lot of top teams that are out there. So we blew that one. Then at Paul Ricard, again, we were actually going well. It was very strange last year. It was always like that what if. We were always in the top 3. So that what if the whole time. And then at Paul Ricard, we had pace, but again, some unfortunate luck. Shame at that time my teammate spun, which was unusual for him. He made 1 or 2 little errors, and that cost us that race. So going through this last season, but again, just having the privilege of showing that your speed. So you showcasing all the time.
Exactly. So you do get recognized as an individual.
Correct. So you might not
teams,
get the results, but you still get recognized as an individual.
Yeah.
So then for this year, we are in talk with Michelin to do Michelin Le Mans as well, which is a higher championship to race with CD Sport, but in Michelin Le Mans with a shiny bronze, as we call it. So that's we're talking about that, seeing if that'll work, or we will race in Ultimate Cup with Nick Adcock again, but it would just be me and Nick in the car, so we won't take penalties. So we got a chance of winning it, because Nick again is a very quick bronze driver, and we won't need to stop for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
So we're just looking at the different options. So budget obviously is still even though I get like a little bit of subsidy, the budgets are still enormous, especially if you go to Michelin Le Mans or ERMS.
Yeah.
We definitely want to do that. We're just saying, okay, do we do it this year or do we do it next year? So we're just working it out. But the team's pushing me to do it. They said I can easily do it, but we're just working out everything.
So let me ask you this then. So at which stage would you stop paying?
It's basically what it's called, like working the paddock.
Yeah.
It goes where you become friendly with bronzes or teams, and basically bronzes would want you to be in the car. So they would essentially pay for you to be in the car, or pay your portion of what you would pay. They would cover you just to get you in the car. And a lot of bronzes would like a driver, not because they're fast, because there's so many fast guys out there. It's like there's everywhere. Everyone's fast when you're at Europe.
So it's a lot of mixy-matchy on the...
It's your personality plays a big role. Mm-hmm. How do you connect with your teammates? How do you give feedback? Feedback's very important. How do you teach? You got to coach the bronze driver. So don't just drive with them. When you look through the data, you got all the information there. You explain why are you quicker, and you guide them, because you're only as quick as your weakest link.
Yeah.
So if you got a teammate who's not onto your speed, you need to get them as close to your speed as you can. So you got to take that, I'm better, out of the equation. No, you want to be equal, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's how you teach a bronze driver, how you get along with them, how you give feedback to the engineers, how you set up the car. Because again, another big thing is we could set, like again, me and Thomas being two silvers, we could set the car up very finite. That will be very good for us, as we always were in the front because of our speed, but then we had reliability problems and we had to take longer penalties in the pits. But a bronze driver might not like the car how we like the car.
Yeah.
So we would have, when you're racing with a bronze, especially a bronze who hasn't really raced that much, you would have to set the car up more for them, making the car easier to drive with. Might not be the quickest,
Yeah.
but as long as your bronze is comfortable, you could work around it. You might not be the fastest in lap time, but if the bronze is happy, then that's fine. So
Okay, so it gets quite technical, but so now, right now, you're in quite demand.
we're getting there.
I've heard.
We're getting there.
I've heard through the grapevine.
We have.
You're in demand. You as an individual driver.
Well, that's the whole goal. We have a few guys who want me to drive with them. So it basically, that's the start of possibly like, okay, I would not pay so much anymore.
Right.
Because some of the guys will be like, okay, we want you to drive with us, so we'll pay a bit more of your budget.
Yeah.
So the more you get of that, the more people who want you, generally the bigger they're going to pay your budget, because it becomes like a bidding almost. So right now we're getting into that of guys starting to want me to drive with them. So that it's a good step, because we've been performing, we've been showing our pace, always in the top 3, winning 1 or 2 races.
So is that an ongoing negotiation at the moment?
Yes, it's an ongoing negotiation.
I know you've been talking and so on, and so results soon to be.
Yeah, so we'll
announced.
see what all. It looks like 2026 will be definitely a Michelin Le Mans. 2025, we're just seeing what it's going to be budget-wise, who's going to be the best to race with for this year.
Yeah.
Be it in Michelin Le Mans, be it in Ultimate, be it in whatever the case may be. We will do. It looks like we're going to do 2 South African races this year as well. See what happens.
Which ones?
Well, again, I always do the 9-hour. I race with Nick
Kyalami
Adcock at the Kyalami 9-hour, which we did very well in this last year.
You in fact won it,
Wow,
and controversially, you
Lost
were
it.
placed in second.
correct. We don't want to say too much, but I mean, my
Well, I
teammate.
watched the race.
Yeah,
And I saw what was going on behind the scenes. To be quite honest, I thought it was extremely unfair for them to penalise you, because they did not have cameras in the car.
correct.
And there was also talk about the number of people working on the car, etc., etc. But then again, there's also the political side of things.
Yes,
You know, your opposition happened to also have the chief sponsor of the whole event
exactly.
in the car, and they lost the previous endurance series
To us.
to
What?
you-
well,
the
they-
whole endurance
Oh,
series.
we didn't race the whole endurance series, but we won the Kyalami now in 2023. So they really wanted it in 2024,
Yeah,
which we
But they
crossed the
also-
line first in 2024, but then the whole.
yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to dig down a little bit into that, because this is what the show's all
Yeah.
about. Epic shit. And so in 2023, you guys, the whole endurance series, Class A, did you podium in that?
Well, I'm not sure. I only
'Cause you only did some of the
I only
races.
did the Kyalami 9-hour.
And it's really a driver's championship. So if you
Yes.
sit out as a driver,
And Nick sat out a few because of a lot of clash with the European racing. So he focused on the European.
yeah,
So he was just taking it, if he enters a race, he just wants to win that race.
right.
So he wasn't
Right.
looking at a
Okay.
championship.
Okay. So, but on the flip side, your opposition, which was Stuart White and Clolile Tlaka, Stuart White also being absolutely superstar driver, also going places and also starting to race all over the world.
It's good, yeah.
And I mean, you know, he's an incredible driver as well, and he's definitely right up there with the top drivers. And he's also coached Tlolile Tlaka into where he is today, and is an integral part of that team. And so they have quite a big budget as well.
Yes,
In my
massive
opinion,
budget.
they probably have the biggest budget.
Correct.
So it's quite important. In 2023, they lost the championship also by a ball A to be precise. And that's 2023. I actually was also honored to race in that. I did the whole year and actually beat them.
Yeah.
So, and I am pretty convinced that I had the lowest budget of the year. So I can
Just shows you.
I can say, I mean, my total cost for the year was 861,000 rand.
Yeah, I mean,
Total cost.
That's not even.
Not even $1 million for the whole year. And I had a fantastic team, and that was my cost for the year. And that included towing, hotel,
Jeez, yeah, that's
the whole team.
way different.
That's wild.
That's way different.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that in itself deserved the damn medal.
of
you
course,
know,
I agree.
to be the lowest budget car to podium, third overall Class A in the fastest class of the events. That was outstanding. And they never knew we were coming up. We were edging our way, and we literally won it in the last lap. Yeah.
I think the extra prize you won there is all the money you've got left in the bank.
Yeah, exactly.
Good point.
That's a good one.
But, getting back to this last controversial result, it didn't matter whether they came first or second. They would still won the championship.
Yes, correct. Because
And that's annoying to me.
It is.
They just wanted the status of winning the 9 hour. And the officials and, the guys that made those decisions, I thought was a very unfair decision, purely based on the fact that only one car was monitored. The penalty that was served because they happened to have a camera on the driver, and he took his gloves off.
he took his one glove off under a safety car to wipe his eye.
Yeah.
So it is against the rule.
It's against the rule.
But it was
under safety.
it was under safety car.
Last few laps.
Yeah, it was under safety car, and he
He had a bug in his eye.
Yeah, so it was again a safety thing. So it should have been. I don't know.
What is more unsafe than the other?
In Europe, a situation like that is the team won't be penalized, the driver will be penalized. So how that will work is you would get a monetary
fund, but you won't lose
or
your
you'll
points.
get points off your license.
But you won't lose points in the race.
No, the race will be it's separate.
And that's where I agree.
That's how it is in Europe. Well, that's the rules in Europe.
Why
of
the
that
hell
situation.
don't they do the same here?
I don't know.
But anyway, they probably will change the rules, but they wouldn't change it for this race.
Yeah.
Because of the controversial situation
Correct.
of who was racing, which, so, doesn't matter neither here nor there. We all know you won the race. And that's... that just happens to be the result. Do you still have the first prize trophy?
Oh, I've got a video,
Okay, yeah.
Well, Nick said, shame, Nick's a really nice guy. So
Yeah.
what happens is the team gets the trophy, but like in 2023, Nick got the trophies all copied to get to each driver.
Yes.
So he's still going to give the first places for 2024.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
And so he's, but he's fine. He's. I know there's still an ongoing protest,
Yeah.
so the results could change. But for me, I enjoyed myself, and
It was a fantastic race. And,
Yeah.
now, hold on a second.
What?
There's something else that you achieved in that race. You set the all-time track record for Kyalami,
yes, correct,
if you have me correct.
twice.
He's-
Well, I broke it and then broke it again. Yeah.
Yes. But as
Damn.
any other car of any make, any brand being around faster?
Not officially.
Not officially.
I don't know unofficially because, again, it's. But
It can't be. It has to be in a race.
it has to be in a race.
So you're the fastest human being to go around Kyalami.
In the current layout, yes.
The current layout, yeah.
Yeah.
There was the old layout as well. I mean, one day when Formula One comes out.
Yeah, so I want to just try to hold the record until Formula One comes in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
That's so cool.
Congratulations. I mean, that's an amazing achievement. And
Yeah.
It's testament to, I mean, your meteoric climb as a race driver, and really honored to be there to see it and to experience it and to know you and to be a member of your Supercar Club of Cape Town, which is just something that I wanted to have a quick chat to you about.
Yes, of course.
Because you've started the Supercar Club of Cape Town. How long ago did you start?
I actually didn't start. I can't take the credit of starting it. It was started in 2021 by someone called Dimitri.
Yeah.
He started the club and he ran it for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Then he got really busy, and I was doing my own supercar events and car events, and I was part of the club. At that stage, I had a Nissan GTR.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "No, John, I'm getting too busy." He was going to Australia a lot, and he said, "You do events like this all the time. You're part of the club. You've been here from the beginning." 'Cause I was at their first ever event.
Yeah.
And he said, "I think you need to become the new chairman or owner
of
the club." So I took ownership of the club about, what is it now, a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Almost 2 years ago, and we've really put a lot of effort in making it more prestigious. So we made it very prestigious. Your car's got to be a certain criteria, but also you as a person. I mean, we don't want to also have someone who has got a Bugatti, but they're not the nicest person in the world. Doesn't mean you're part of the club.
Yeah.
So we'll rather have guys who, we might not be the biggest club. I mean, but there's about 40 members at the moment. 40, and what's very nice is 40 active members. So we don't have 100 people who are just there. We have 40 guys and girls who are active. There is a membership fee. It's just to keep control and to the running of the club. So we supply snacks and everything and breakfast and all of that. And
it's almost like a non-profit club.
Basically.
Yeah.
So we don't want money to sit in our account at the end of the year. If there is, we always give back. So we'll buy big gifts for the members and all of that, or throw a massive event.
Yeah.
And no, the club's been growing very nicely.
Yeah.
And the guys have really been enjoying it. We like it when members give us feedback and suggestions. So no, it's going great.
So I'm also a member, of course.
Yeah.
I think I'm in my second year now. It's been a very nice experience. We do lovely rides. You know, I'm also a member of the Porsche Club and the Harley Davidson Club. You know, each one has his own set of rules and so on. Your club is exactly as you said. It's a bunch of really nice people, great cars, everybody that really enjoys their cars. And Andre's going to become a member soon. He's just got to get the right car. He's got a potent car. But
BMW isn't quite exotic enough.
It's fine. We'll get there.
It's quick. Yeah.
It's a quick car.
So anybody who wants to join this club, they can make contact with you, or me, if you need a number or something like that to join the club. It's a small fee at the moment of
3,500 rand for the year.
3,500 rand a year, which you get a lot. You get a lot for that.
For that.
A great snack bag on this last
and
trip and a great riding experience.
Yeah, we go to very nice routes, pick very nice routes. We try to go to the nicest places in Cape Town.
Yeah.
So we even do weekends away where we stay in very nice, the most upmarket we could get places. And we put a lot of effort into it.
That's fantastic. So now, we've heard all about.
I have one or two questions actually before.
Absolutely.
Before we get to what I think you're about to get to.
Jumping.
So I never realized just how of a team sport and activity the racing actually is. But just listening through to you talk about it all, it's really been quite eye-opening. And just the networking and whatnot, it's almost like that to a sense may actually be a more important skill than just being a good driver.
Correct. That's exactly it.
It's
you learn about that when you're in Europe. So we don't have to worry about that in South Africa, about managing other people and talking and teaching really. But when you're in Europe and you're in the big stages like ELMS, Michelin Le Mans, Ultimate Cup, even WEC, if you're blessed enough to get there, you learn very quickly you need to get along with everyone, and you really need to teach your weakest link, and you just got to be a good sport. Because in endurance racing, it's not just about you. It's about all the drivers, about the whole team. You got to really learn that a lot. You can't go there thinking me all the time. So yeah, and unless you're doing a single seater or a touring car race where it's just one driver, different story.
Yeah.
But if you're doing endurance racing, it's really a whole team. You learn very quickly. It's the whole team.
Yeah.
And then I've sort of like got a twofold question for my last question. Is what do you do to sharpen up your skills when you're not on a racetrack?
That's a good question.
Very
So
good question.
basically, I train at the Sports Science Center. I got my own biokineticist who I train with. We actually starting next week again. He's been on leave. I said, okay, I'll train myself for a little bit, but he's the one who really got the right exercises. He follows a lot of the Formula One training.
So physical training, like
physical
gym
training,
and stuff
gym,
like that.
a lot of gym, a lot of neck, a lot of all of the stamina, all those other things. And then with the team, we have a lot of psychological. We have a psychologist in a way, part of the team. So when we're at the races, we have like a psychologist and a physio and everything part of the team.
That's very
From that
interesting.
level.
No, it's a
incredible.
completely different. You can't
It's a
compare.
yeah.
But yeah, so behind the scenes, I do a lot of gym. Every now and again, I get the privilege of shame. Like Nick allowed me to drive the car tomorrow to do some testing for him. So tomorrow I'm driving the car again because he's got a Nova Proto in South Africa that he uses in the SAES and the Kyalami 9-hour. So we put the car back together. So we're driving it tomorrow just to make sure everything's running. And then next week, Friday, I get to drive again because I'm training 2 youngsters. One is going to be racing an Ultimate Cup this year. So I'm going to try to get him up to speed, or at least so he doesn't go there like I did where you
So is he being
completely
sponsored?
flustered.
Is he being sponsored?
No, he's paying. Again, you got to showcase. No one's going to sponsor you if you haven't showcased what you can do. So you got to,
The youngster, the father also supporting him.
yeah, so the father supports. And then
Fantastic.
again, if he does well, then yes, you'll get maybe a bronze or a team who would subsidize.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to get him just comfortable with the car so he doesn't go there like me where he was completely flustered. He was thrown straight into the deepest end that you can. Put into a big race with all this and go race.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get him up to steam. So I'll do a few laps, set like a bogey time.
More gentle wading instead of
Yes,
sink or swim.
yes. Well, he's just doing like 1 or 2 tests and then he is going sink or swim type
Fair
of thing.
enough.
But at least he's getting the chance to drive the car before. And then another kid who's also doing it, he's busy checking, does he want to do GT3, does he want to do prototypes? So he's also going to be there. So I'm going to be teaching them on the car and how aero works with these type of cars and just going through my data.
And how did they get a hold of you?
Well, they get a hold of Nick Adcock, so who
Okay.
owns the car, and Rico Barlow, who runs the car. And basically Nick then came to me and said, hey, John, I want you to drive and teach them and get them up to speed or get them to understand at least, because
Okay,
you want to at least understand the car before you go. So
fair enough.
that's quite cool. So I get to drive the car every now and again. Otherwise, I train on Nick's simulator.
Okay, I was
He's-
about to ask
yeah.
about the sim.
The sim helps. What I find with racing these cars, the sim helps a lot with, especially if you go to a track you don't know. But and it gets you to understand, you learn your braking points and things. But when you're on track in those cars, there's nothing like driving it because
Yeah.
you don't get the G-force. You don't get that sensation of the car moving underneath you. And if you have a rig that's got motion, it's still not the same. You're not
Yeah.
feeling the tire,
Yeah.
how it's doing it. You're not feeling, you can actually feel the air traveling over your car. And any little movement, any little thing, any little lift off mid-corner makes such a difference where on the sim it gives you that, but it's not to the level of
Yeah,
real life.
yeah.
So I use the sim as a tool to basically, it's like almost like an extra session. So I would learn if I go to a track like this year, we may be doing Silverstone and I haven't been to Silverstone before. So I'll use this as like a reference point. It's like, okay, that's where we're going to brake. It'll be very similar. That's the layout. That's basically the line. There might be a small change. But then once you're there is when you really start to figure it
Fair
out.
enough. Okay, and then my final question is, obviously now with the Supercar Club and you actually being able to really scratch that driving itch by being on a racetrack, where do you draw the line on, what you do on public roads?
Basically, yeah. So
Good question.
good question. Zoka basically draws the line a lot of the time. Basically, on a supercar run, I'll be honest, we do, in the beginning, like if we're in town and in residential areas, we don't drive like hooligans. We try to keep that under control. When we far out, I wouldn't say way, but when we really far out on a mountain pass where it's early morning, or sometimes we even do evening, then the guys will start opening up a bit. Again, not 10-10s, because you should never go 10-10s because anything can happen on the road.
Especially not with how capable these cars are.
No, you never. Well, I try to tell the guys also, you never go 10-10s. You always go about 7-10s if you do want to push it. Because there's so many things on the road. I mean, you got other people. You've got a road surface is even different to a racetrack. And again, these are supercars, but they're not race cars.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
There's a big difference between a professional race car and a supercar. The supercar is still very capable. But as soon as you can't compare it to a race car. So again, you could the supercars still weigh a lot compared to a race car.
So what are you looking for in a road car versus a race car?
The weight is one thing. The tires compound is another thing. Basically, so a lot of the supercars have more power than the race cars do. So a lot of the time, and the supercars got all this sound deadening, and there's all for luxury. So a lot of the guys don't realize how quick they're actually going. So because they don't have all the stones rattling or all of that. But so basically, tires are a huge thing. Even the surface of the road is a huge thing.
What are you looking for when you're looking for a road car?
Oh, what do I want?
Yes.
Personally, I like a car that is kind of like a race car. It's got number plate on it. So I like the McLarens, like your LT version. So like a 600 LT, a 765 LT. I like a GT3 RS, especially a GT2 RS, because at least you got some more grunt. But some more like I'm different. I like a lot of the raw race cars for the road.
So you don't want it to be comfortable.
No, I don't. I want So basically, when you're in a race, I've had the privilege of owning many different supercars. So anything from more comfortable Ferrari F430 to McLaren 650Ss and Gen 3 R8s and 600 LTs, and they all drive completely differently. I prefer the raw because I want to know I'm in a supercar. Cause like I had an R8 Gen 3, which is a stunning machine. I'm so capable, but when you're cruising, it just feels like you're in a Audi TT or like you. It's still a lovely thing, but you're not in a race car. Or I had a Porsche GTS. You're in a Porsche. But when you're cruising or if you're in traffic, it's not.
It's a saloon car.
It's where if you have a 3RS or 2RS or Ferrari or like most of the Ferraris or McLarens, even if you're in traffic, you know everything's rumbling, it's shaking, you know it's a.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
I need to maybe adjust the way I'm looking at these things.
Yeah.
It all depends. A lot of guys have different needs. A lot of guys want to be comfortable and have a Turbo S or a R8 or even a. It depends. It's still a very. It's a supercar. It's
seriously
just
competent cars.
different people's perspectives.
I think on that note, Peter.
Right. Let's wrap this up. But before you go home and before you leave here, we got to put you to the test. So, do you know Monza?
Yes.
You know it?
Yeah.
So, we'll put you in a GTE BMW.
Okay.
So you know what that's all about. You know that it doesn't have brake, ABS and all that sort of nonsense. You know the car. Now you're a competent race driver.
In real life. I don't know about
all these, for all the guests that we're going to have on, we kind of like decided that we'll put the racing line on, obviously, our lap setting guy that I have no idea who he is, but he can twirl a car around here. He put no line on. He just quickly did 10 laps, and out of that lap, he set a lap. No line. What would you like? Would you like the line on the track?
I don't need the line. Maybe just for the first 1 or 2 laps, if we get it. Just the break point. I need to get used to the sim as well. A lot of sims are a bit different.
Yeah, so essentially the format that we discussed is that we'll do, for most of the guests, with the line. but that's purely a preference thing. So
I
you
don't.
can
Yeah,
choose
I
some
to
don't
go
need.
people
with
actually
that.
don't like
I
the
don't
line.
need the line.
I know you
just,
don't.
I just want to see how the sim works first.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that you learn with the line. Yeah, it's. I often, when I use the line to get to know a track, once I've sort of know the track and I gun it like flat out with the line, and I take the line away and I go
'cause-
faster.
Exactly. That's right. No line. Just do a lap or
take
two,
a-
just to
yeah,
feel
you
the
take a
sim first,
natural
how the
line
sim
and-
feels.
Yeah, so
Right.
we've got 10 warm-up laps, and
Okay,
then we'll
that's fine.
reset it, and then you've got 5 laps, and we'll take the fastest time out
Okay.
of those 5.
Your
Yeah. Or you can do 5 laps and say, all right,
Yeah.
If you're happy, we're not going to argue with
I'm
the
a racing driver.
professional.
We want all the time we can get.
Okay, let's get to it.
Oh, yes, the competition. Right, let's see how that goes, and we'll get
Cool.
back to you with where you shaped and what time you did and how you compared. So, are you rolling it? You don't need to roll already in the last. You go for 5 laps. See all this footage.
So,
I've never heard that.
Jonathan,
Okay, let's start, yeah. So,
yeah, that was quite the lap, if I have to say so myself.
I mean, you know, clearly we're dealing with a professional race driver. I mean,
Have you done this before?
He
I'm not good at the
has-
sim stuff. Though.
he's done some training. I mean, you train on simulator, but I mean, you know, you're a professional race driver, and you know, one of the best in the country. And having said all that, you know, this stranger who I still trying to find out who he is.
It's still quicker.
Gets on the simulator, did that in his 3rd lap, and then he just buggered around and said, okay, there's your lap. Like, holy shit. I haven't tried after him, and because we set this thing up tonight, so, but it's testament to, well, first of all, that's a cracking time that he put up, but that's a reference lap, and I think that lap will stand throughout the series. But for you to come within a second of that lap, and I mean, you pushed the limits. So
Yeah,
you
I
go
was
off track a couple of
I was-
times, and
I thought as a
crashed out.
sim, you can click restart.
Yeah, yeah. So how
Bit
did
less
it feel?
punishing
To
than
you?
Yeah,
a real life
exactly.
crash.
How did that feel to you?
Good. The car it's a good choice of car to go with. It's definitely, it's not a loose or something for most people will find it easy enough for them to drive the car. The track you chose was also very good.
Yeah, we thought we'd choose a nice, easy car to drive, and a nice, easy track to drive.
Yeah, it was a good car and track combo. So I think the whole experience for someone will be perfect.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, we're not allowed to adjust the brake bias. So
Yeah.
that's the one thing I wanted to do, but we're not allowed to do that.
yeah. Because I mean, the professionals are going to have a
Yeah,
much better.
because I
better lead.
definitely wanted more front bias. I found the back a bit too much on the back, but that's what makes it exciting and different.
Yeah,
So you got to learn to adapt. For what, like for the prototypes, we run a lot of front bias, so we're used to a lot of the nose like really digging down with our downforce. So now I had to learn to adjust with a lot of rear bias, and yeah, but it was good. I mean, for most people, it's perfect. So what you guys have come up with there with the track and car combo is very good. I think it'll do
Yeah.
well.
and so you definitely will be on top of the leaderboard.
No, I didn't-
and I think
Peter, you'll be quicker.
you'll be
Yeah, after like
some stage.
700 hours of
No,
sweating
I
it
don't
out.
think so.
No,
The,
we had a discussion with the man we found randomly walking around in Spa who set the time. And, you know, our goals is to get, Peter said within 2 seconds, I just want to get within 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So for you to basically do your warm-up laps and then in the 5 allotted laps get within a second is very impressive.
Yeah, I just thought I just want to get within a second. I knew I wouldn't beat the stranger, I knew
Yeah.
he's going to be too quick, but I thought, let me try at least get within a second. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, we're still going to put up a couple of guys here that are, I'd like to still interview Byron Mitchell, and I'll throw him onto this track too and see what he does. He's a good sim racer. Troy Donchek's a good racer.
Nick can pedal.
Nick can pedal, and so it'll be good to see how they do. So the Twig set a time of 1 minute 44.5. You did 1 minute 45.5.
Yeah.
1 second off.
I'm fine with
the
1
Twig
second.
lap. That is a phenomenal time. Trust me. I watched him drive, and I thought there's nobody ever is going to get close to this. I mean, if I get within a couple of seconds of that time, I'll be very happy. I will, at some stage, I will give it a go. I'm not going to give it a go at the moment. I'm watching, checking, interviewing, getting you guys,
But yeah,
encouraging.
no, Pepper me impressed.
Yeah.
But me impressed.
Yes, exactly.
So there you go.
No, I'm happy with
You're
it.
on the leaderboard. I don't think anybody's going to knock that time off you for a long time. Let's see how we go. I mean, guys that haven't raced before are obviously going to be way off this, but they're going to be competing against their other mates that
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
drive. We're going to have the Game Ranger, which we're getting on here soon. He's done his interview, Simon Borchert, and so he's got to come and do this as well. I'd be surprised if he gets in within 15 seconds of that time.
That'll be brilliant, actually.
And we'll see also how Mikey K, he'll be on the simulator next to go and do his hot lap. And yeah, I'm guessing if he can get within 10 seconds, it'll be pretty good.
That'll be impressive.
Yeah, he's pretty good on this thing as well. I mean, I put him on a car the other day, and
He got used to it.
yeah, I like spoke him into it, showed him how the thing, did about 20 laps with him, standing behind him, giving him the drill, and then I went to my room and I said, call me when you get within, I think it was 5 seconds. Call me, and about 183 laps later, I get a message. Boom! he cracked I think it was 5 seconds, 6 seconds, somewhere around there. And
He's committed.
He's committed, man.
Yeah, yes,
He's good,
186
he's good.
laps,
Yeah.
man.
But yeah, also to people that haven't done a sim before, it's quite the fun and visceral experience.
That's what I'm saying.
So it should be quite popular.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. Like I said, the track and car combo is, most people should be able to get the understanding from it.
And it's the thing drives like a real car, and you've got cold tires in the beginning. You have to be cognizant of that. So what I will be cautioning the guys, that sort of don't know this business, telling the guys is these tires take 2 or 3 laps to warm up. The way they drive will probably take 5 laps to warm up, actually. But give them all those cautions, and in their practice laps, I'll talk them through it. I'll give them
that'd
the
be
line.
great.
Yeah.
And you just follow the line. I mean, most people can't even follow the line, actually. But I can hear Zilka in the background.
She's getting there.
I can hear it's getting consistent.
Yeah.
Be very interesting to see how she does.
On that note, Jonathan, seriously, thank you very much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Before we say goodbye, is there anything you want to have the audience look out for, where they can find you on socials or support your racing career or watch what you're doing? We'd all love to know.
Oh yeah. So basically, it's just Jonathan_Thomas_84 on Instagram. I post not like hectically, but I post basically whenever I'm racing. We also have the Cape Town Supercar Club, which you can search up on Instagram as well. We got quite a good amount of followers. I think it's on 12,000 or something followers, so it's quite good.
Yeah.
You can see what we get up to, what are the events like, and all of those type of things. Other than that, it's just those two. It's nice and simple, nothing difficult.
Yeah. Well, on that note, the best of luck to you on the coming year, and with all the racing that lies ahead. I hope it goes well with the sponsor find. And Peter, I'll leave it off with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Jonathan, fastest human being around Kyalami.
Thank you.
You got the standing record. Hopefully that will stand until Formula One comes here.
That's the goal.
which we hope will be within about 2 years. I'm really, I think that's going to happen. And but that's a Formula One car, so I mean, your record will still stand. You know, that's a phenomenal time, and really good luck with your future in your racing career. It's been an absolutely exponential climb in your racing career. You're racing overseas. I hope to come and join you one day.
You should,
in one of those events. We've got to tick that box.
You have to tick the box. It's definitely a box worth ticking. I definitely agree.
Excellent. Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you
to
for
all the
watching.
listeners.